Hi. This video is going to feel a little bit backwards from normal. I'm going to show you how to start with a given system of linear equations, and then how to invent a situation that would make sense to be modeled by that system. So here's what we're given. Caitlin made some money by having a yard sale this weekend. What related situation could be modeled by the following system of equations? So the first is that x take away 10 equals y. And the second is that 0.1x plus 0.25y equals 41.25. So at first glance, these numbers look kind of strange. What we're going to have to do is decide what some plausible meanings for the variables x and y could be, and then we'll try to explain in words that would be relevant for this situation what these equations would mean. So another way of looking at this first equation, which I find just to be a little bit clearer, this is totally optional, but if it helps you, you should do this. I like to add 10 to both sides here and have x equals y plus 10, because I find that just it helps me understand a little bit better what's going on. What this first equation does is it tells you either way, whether you look at this sort of pink version or the black version. Here it has if whatever x is, if you take away 10, you get what y is. And another way of saying that is if you start with y and you add 10, you get what x is. So it looks like one of these values is 10 more than the other. Okay, whatever those variables mean, one is 10 bigger than the other. And so we've got this situation about some money at a yard sale, and then we've got this strange equation here. But at least after you've seen this example, if we have some sort of reference to money, and then you see something like this, you should start thinking about the value of coins. Because 0.1, if we were talking money here, $0.1 is 10 cents. And $0.25 is 25 cents. And this might be $41.25. So this might have something to do with dimes and quarters. Alright, it's certainly not the only solution to this, but I think it's the most likely solution. So let's look at what the variables could be. Let x represent, let y represent. Let's see what they are. Well, here x we're multiplying by 0.1, or by, if this is dollars, then we're multiplying by 10 cents. So x looks to me like the number of dimes, because then the value of the dimes would be 0.1 times the number of dimes. Right? And then by the same token, if we're multiplying y by 0.25, then that might well be the number of quarters that Caitlin has. Those are 25-cent coins, just in. Okay, so then what do these two equations mean? X minus 10 equals y. So number of dimes minus 10 equals y, which is the same as a number of quarters plus 10 equals number of dimes. So Caitlin has 10 more. I always have to be really careful here that I don't get it backwards. Dimes minus 10 equals quarters. So she has more dimes. For example, if this was 35 minus 10, 35 dimes minus 10, y, the number of quarters would be 25. So she has 10 more dimes than quarters. So that's the first equation. And then the second equation here, if we have 0.1 times the number of dimes, that's the value in dimes. Value of all dimes. And this, 0.25 times the number of quarters, is the value of all quarters. So if we're doing the value of all the dimes plus the value of all the quarters, and we get 41.25, that means that altogether in her dimes and quarters, she's got $41.25. So the second thing here is that Caitlin has a total value of 41.25, and I have to be careful to specify that's just her dimes and quarters. She might have a lot of loonies and toonies and bills and stuff in dimes and quarters. Okay, so that's the situation for these equations. A lot of the times the equations will be a little bit less, I don't know how to say it, maybe a bit less specific looking. Then we might just have some x's and some y's, and it might be like 2x plus 3y. And so you'll just have to sort of come up with what would be a situation where it would make sense to write these equations. Like, what does the equation mean? In this case, that the x is 10 bigger than the y. And then maybe if it was 2x plus 3y, like what would possible values of x and y be where it would make sense to multiply by 2 and by 3? So you think about what the equation is telling you, and then like what could be some possible values of those variables? Like what could they mean where it would make sense to do that multiplication or to have that subtraction or addition or whatever it is. Okay, good luck with it.